Recording in progress.
Go ahead, Councilmember Cook.
I'm going to be very brief, but just want to thank DPR staff for an amazing Bimbe Festival. Several of my colleagues attended on Saturday, but it was just flawlessly run. I just am always so amazed by how many people can come into a small space and just have everything they need, all their needs met, and it be like a safe and enjoyable experience. So I just want to shout out to the staff who made that possible. And those are all my announcements. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead,
Sure.
Councilmembers.
Member Tim. So, and we're doing comments also tonight or not tonight, or what are we?
We are doing them tonight, but that's why I'm asking folks to just be as brief as possible because we have a long day.
Okay, yeah. So I will highlight a couple things. Yes, thanks for mentioning the.
We're going to pause because no one's going to be able to hear us anyway.
All right.
It's a good. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Councilmember Ruth.
Yeah. So just a couple things real quick. The festival was amazing. Thanks to all the folks who came out from the community. Always a big party.
And staff the 2026 Homegrown Hero Award to Kiwan Hester, the Cake Man, after his incarceration and personal reinvention. So please check out his favorite desserts, baked good and coffee shop at 4520 South Alston Avenue. Also want to share that I attended last week the National Adaptation Forum, being able to learn from other communities how Durham can better protect our most vulnerable residents from extreme heat and flooding. That's getting worse due to climate change. So looking forward to sharing some of the lessons I learned back with my colleagues and with staff. I want to thank Bike Durham for the Bull City Stampede and NC Greenways for its Bike to School event and for lifting up Bike Month. Those are wonderful events. And I will leave it at that for now. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councilmember Burrs.
All right, good afternoon. Happy to see everyone this beautiful Monday. Had a great time at Bimbe as well. Do want to clarify, though, I'm not going to be the contrary in the room, but Dougie Fresh did shout out what he thought was the greatest HBCU, and he said NCA&T. And yeah, I was ready to drive him to Terminal 2 myself at that point. But no, it was a great time. I appreciated hanging out with the city staff as well as dancing. We had a lot of great time. And also shouts out to the Mayor's Council for Women. They hosted spaghetti dinner last Wednesday, I believe, and it was at Feminist Moving Forward. So kudos to them and all the great work they're doing in the community.
Durham, but
Oh,
I know. I'll have to forgive him.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to say good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you. Next up, priority items. Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. The city manager's office does have a few priority items this evening. First, for agenda item number 2, that is the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget and fiscal year 27 to 32 capital improvement plan. Just to note that the presentation for this item will be made this evening during the May 18th City Council business meeting. Then for today's agenda item number 17 and item number 19, these business items do also have brief presentations, both of 10 minutes. That's for the proposed water and sewer rates for FY 26-27 and professional engineering services contract with Kimley-Horn and Associates for the Goose Creek Outfall project. Those are our priority items.
Thank you so much. Madam Attorney.
Thanks, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. The City Attorney's Office has no priority items this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. The City Clerk's Office also has no items, and there's no board report.
Thank you so much. I do need a motion to accept the priority items, right, at work session? No, okay, thank you.
Because we didn't make any changes.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to move on to our public comment period. I have two, I think they're both, no, just one, online, Joe Lamb. Not sure if Mr. Lamb can hear us or Ms. Lamb can hear us. Are they there, Madam Clerk? Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Yeah. We can't hear you, but it's okay. We're going to move on to our next public speakers if we have any, and then we'll return to you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I don't have any in-person folks. Do you? We have? Okay. Okay, they're in process. Okay, well, I'm going to keep us moving just so that we can keep our meeting efficient, and then we will return to public comment as soon as I have those cards. Okay, I'm going to now read our administrative consent items. Item number 1, under the City Clerk's Office, approval of City Council minutes. Under departmental items, first, Budget and Management Services Department. Item number 2, fiscal year 2026-27 proposed budget and fiscal year 27 through 32 capital improvement plan, CIP. And again, this presentation will be made this evening. Under City Manager's Office, item number 3, grant budget ordinance accepting an African American Mayors Association American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy American Nutrition Access, Affordability, and Education large city grant. Under item number 4, City Council Governance Retreat. Item under Community Safety Department, item number 5, resolution adopting the City of Durham Involuntary Commitment Transportation Plan Agreement.
Can I pull that one?
Item number 6, contract with Volunteers of America of the Carolinas, Inc. for the provision of coordinated entry with diversion services.
I'll pull that one as well.
Under Environmental and Street Services Department, item number 7, utility preliminary engineering construction agreement for Teknika Parkway and Red Mill Road, tip number HE-0007B.
I'd like to pull that.
Number 7.
Yes, please.
Item number 8, amendment number 1 to contract 19963 with WM Recycle America LLC for processing and marketing of recyclable materials. Under General Services Department, item number 9, acquisition of 1860 Forest Road, REID number 239900 for Guest Road Multimodal Project Coordination with SW-72. Under Planning and Development Department, proposed Planning and Development Department FY27 work program. Item number 11, utility extension agreement with Jasmine Norwood to serve 607 East Gear Street. Item number 12, utility extension agreement with Jamie Trejo Densa and Alejandro Lorenzo Baltazar to serve 1824 East Gear Street. Item number 13, utility extension agreement with Mangum Street Partners LLC to serve Greenhouse Durham. Under the Transportation Department, item number 14, construction contract for housing and urban development HUD funded pedestrian crossing improvements at 9 locations with LMJ Pavement Marking LLC.
Pull that one.
I both have council members Kopak and Cook on that one. Item number 15, Second Amendment to contract number 21565, supplemental agreement number 3 to master agreement number 18919 with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. for design of a two-way conversion for Roxboro and Mangum streets.
Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to say, I don't want to pull that one, just to say this has been a big project for a lot of folks over many years, and so it's exciting to see us move this project through 100% design. So this is a big step for Durham, and I'm excited to see that.
Thank you, Councilmember Cook. I'm sorry, Rist. Councilmember Kopak, are you wanting to pull it? Yeah. Okay. Number 16, Regional Information Center Services Agreement FY25 through 27. And then under Water Management Department, proposed water and sewer rates for FY26 through 27. And this is a 10-minute presentation that we'll do at the end. Item number 18, Design Build Services Contract with Garney Companies, Inc. for the Western Intake Partnership Intake / Raw Water Facilities Design Build Project. Was that you, Councilmember Baker? Okay. That was number 18. And Councilmember Kopak, was that also you? Yes. Item number 19, Professional Engineering Services Contract with Kimley-Horn and Associates, Inc. for the Goose Creek Outfall Project. Again, that's a presentation that we'll receive at the end. Under presentations, Community Partnerships and Engagement Department, Post-Storm Recovery Update, Old Farm and River Forest Neighborhoods. And then under...
That is a presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then under public hearings, which we will hear this evening, under Planning and Development Department, number 21, Consolidated Annexation, 4802 Cheek Road. Number 22, Consolidated Annexation, Sharon Road Assemblage. Item number 23, Place Type Map Amendments, Evaluation and Assessment Report. And that's everything that we have published. I'm going to read out what we've pulled and then the order of presentations, and then I'm going to come back to public comment because I think I have my folks now. I have items number 5, 6, 7, 14, 15, and 18 pulled. Okay, and so we will do the pulled items, and then we will just do the, unless city staff has an opinion on it, we will just do the presentations in their numerical order, 17, 19, and then 20. Is that good? Okay. Okay, here she's come back. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's see if Joe Lamb is able to speak one more time, and we'll come back again, but let's just see if they can speak now. Good afternoon. This is for Joe Lamb. We can hear you. We cannot hear you. Not sure what's going on, but we know that you're on the Zoom.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, they've been asked to unmute, but they're not unmuting.
Okay, you need to unmute your, I don't know if you're on a phone or on a laptop. I know on the phone it's a little different. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving. We'll try one more time after we're done with in-person. I have several folks who have signed up. I would like to know if they were here for general comment or if they're here for a specific item, because then if you are here for a specific item, I will wait for you to speak until we get to that item versus just a general public. So I have Mary Rose Fontana, Gregory Williams, Chris Perlstein, Kartuk Sundararamuthi, and Tiffany. 15. Okay. 15? 15. I'm sorry, 19? That's the presentation, yeah? Okay, so, okay. If you are here just to make general comment, which I think is just Mr. Perlestein, please go ahead, and Ms. Tiffany. So Ms. Tiffany, go ahead and come on up, and then Mr. Perlestein, it'll be you. And then when we get to your agenda item, you'll be able to kick us off with your public comment. Go ahead, Ms. Tiffany, come on up.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, I am Tiffany Swope. I'm here representing Grace Inc. We have a mentoring program that we have actually developed a mentoring model that we would like to ask for consideration for public safety funding. We've been asked to scale outside of the Cornwallis community into 2 additional low housing, high risk communities to support both teens and also community engagement. With that being said, our program or our model has 5 pillars. We're already implementing 3 of those pillars. The other 2 additional pillars would provide more support to the community, more support to the kids, but more so, I want to share that our model has both mental health components and also social work components. We work with the kids, but we also work with the families. We've created a great deal of success in the community. In Cornwallis, we've had, over the past 4 years, we've supported the reduction in crime with the youth in that community, creating success. We have 3 teens graduating this year. One is a first-generation high school student. But furthermore, we see this as a great opportunity to partner with it's a highly collaborative model that is powered by North Carolina Central Psychology Department. Last year, we had almost a pipeline of 100 students who are ready to come into the community. We've had conversations recently with Durham Public Schools, also the Sheriff's Department, who will run the PALS program, and also Durham Police Department's Victim Services Unit, where we can also receive referrals, in addition to recent conversations with Project Bill. So this is a highly collaborative model where we will provide enrichment services in the community, working with the teams, and the strategic plan was actually submitted to the council in September. I hope that everyone's had an opportunity to review it, and I hope that you see the value in considering this model, which we plan to insert in every community across the city. This is a great opportunity to put Durham on the map for something that is trailblazing, but also create a success incubator out of the entire city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's the only, Mr. Perlestein, yes, go ahead. Thank you, good afternoon, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, City Council members. I kind of want to start with talking about Vision Zero. I think everybody remembers that we passed the Vision Zero goal and action plan last year, and we've been working towards implementing that and looking at our path forward. I know we have 2 new council members. Congratulations on your recent election. As our new liaison to BPAC, we've heard from Councilmember Kopak that he also supports this. And Councilmember Burris, I'm just going to assume for now until I hear otherwise that you also support the Vision Zero action plan and goals. I think this particular agenda is a really good example of how we have to think about this much more broadly. It's not just about streets like Roxboro. It's important that we focus on our high injury network. It's important that we get things like the 2-way conversion done or some other intervention, and we get that done promptly. But also we have to look at our other items. The number 1 action on that action plan was to reform land use to reduce vehicle miles traveled. And that can mean a lot of different things. But one of the things that I think is very pertinent to today's meeting is a lot of the things related to the Goose Creek Outfall project. When you look at the area where we are essentially freezing development, it incorporates essentially the entirety of the number 3 bus. That is our highest frequency and highest ridership bus, which means we're saying no new housing unless you have a utility extension agreement on this bus that we have the most service. It also impacts substantial portions of the number 9 and the number 4, as well as the number 2. It impacts Wellens Village, which we want to do a transit hub. And so by dealing with this issue, however that ends up being, it's going to have a direct impact on our ability to reduce car dependency, to reduce car-centric sprawl. These are the areas where we really want to focus on adding more opportunities for folks to live and to work where we've provided bus service, where we have some level of walkability and bikeability. And so I think it's really important to look at these kind of items, not just from the nuts and bolts of how we normally deal with this, it relates to Vision Zero and broader city goals. And so for that reason, I actually very much support my 2 neighbors who are asking for extension agreements to build ADUs. If you look at the location of these 2 ADUs, they're in a block of some of the bus routes that I mentioned. And then the greenhouse development is also right there on Mangum, which we're hopefully going to pay for. Is also very close proximity to the number 4, and is easily walkable and bikeable to downtown. So I think this is really important for us to consider. I also think we really need to push hard on getting this issue fixed. So I support that contract, and I also hope that you'll think about approving projects that may take a little bit of time, but commit to getting it done, and commit to getting it done in time for projects to move forward. So approve them when needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker I have, and it's for agenda item number 2, which although the public hearing for that is on June 1st, I just want to remind folks, anyone who's coming to speak on the budget, you will have an opportunity to do that on June, is that right, June 1st?
Yes.
Okay. But go ahead and come on up. Yep, because we take general comment at this time.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to see you. You have 3 minutes.
I'm Karthik Sundaramurthy. I serve on the advisory committee in watching the great work that DPR puts together every year, every budget, every action. I'm following, for example, the way they put together this past weekend, from Wednesday till people were out there, I think Saturday morning at 5 a.m. to set up a festival. And that saw the community come together, and you saw folks come together. And this was a program run by the DPR, by the city. Right? It couldn't have been possible by anybody else. So I'd like to support the CIP requests, the general budget requests that DPR has, and basically support their actions in saying that they do a great work. They are giving back. They do so much for the community. It's not public security or anything like that, but it's what it does is brings in life to the community. People are coming into these public spaces and enjoying it. You can go any weekend to any of our parks. They are filled with folks. It's playing, birthday parties, weddings, and all these things happen at these parks. And we need to be funding the DPR, keeping up with our population growth, keeping up with inflation for new projects. We've already funded 2 years ago when we had our aquatics bond. We passed more than 70% of the community supported that. So we want to put in money where folks are using it, want it, and grow. So every time we don't support projects that need to be funded, we are falling behind. People are coming in and buying $1 million houses right now in 2 blocks from here. It's doubled in price in the past 2 years. I can't understand how people are able to buy these houses, but we need to be keeping our taxes high for supporting DPR projects. I know a lot of the issues with the funding this year is that people have appealed for tax breaks, and then now that's affecting our budget. But I hope that you're able to fund projects. For example, we have girls flag football that we want to start. That's a big demand for it. That's lining up with our plan for what DPR represents. There is boys soccer that we want to fund. These are all very small ticket items in my book that we can bring the community in, We've been running girls soccer for years, and that's been a great success. So we want to be adding these programming in. We want to be, yep, so that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you
I'll
so
come
much.
back in June 1st.
Thank you. Next item I have pulled is item number 5. Councilmember Cook, that was your item. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ryan Smith, Director of Community Safety.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions about the actual agreement. There were the sort of A through D requirements of when a heart worker could take someone instead of a police officer. They're inconsistent through the agreement, so I wanted to ask about that. But I was also just curious overall how often A through D would be met and whether there would in fact be a big reduction in folks transported by officers.
Sure, I'll speak to that a little bit, and then I have Assistant Director Lee Mazer here who is over that, who can provide additional insight. So first, I just want to speak generally to how it is going to work. So today, if someone goes to the magistrate's office and petitions or goes to the magistrate, they're expressing concern for a loved one. Magistrate, based on that evidence, can issue a police custody order. Police then have to go find that person, and right now, that person has to be transported in a law enforcement vehicle to the hospital for a first exam. We have, as you all know, been working hard and have an involuntary response team that is a community safety team that can meet officers on scene, and that positions us to do the first exam out in community, because it is not uncommon that someone is transported to the hospital and they're not meeting the criteria. And so we have this time-intensive, can be traumatic experience transport to the hospital. Now that we can do first exams out in the community, we have the capacity. We have certified first examiners by the state who can make that assessment. And if someone doesn't meet the criteria, they can cancel the custody order with the magistrate. That's the good thing that we can do. The other thing, though, is right now, when someone does meet the criteria, that person still needs to be transported by an officer to the hospital. This will put an option on the table where our teams together can make an assessment. We certainly have experiences today where our staff feel that it is safe to transport, and if we were able to, would transport someone who meets that criteria to the hospital so that they're not going in the back of a police officer car, but in one of our minivans to the hospital for an assessment. The agreement that you see is worked out through the police department and our staff to take into consideration safety considerations. I do feel confident that under this, we will see opportunities to provide alternative transport. I think that we will also, in practice, we'll be capturing data on that, and we'll be able to come back and talk and answer in detail, not what we project, but actually how it's playing out and how many times we are in fact able, because of this new agreement and opportunity, able to, when a transport is needed, be able to do that in a HART vehicle as opposed to in a law enforcement vehicle. I think there are some things that we don't know until we actually put it into practice. I'm going to ask Assistant Director Mazer if she wants to speak in more detail to it.
Hey, just as far as numbers, in 2025, there were 742 IVC transports. Is this better? Oh, maybe it's not on.
Yeah, that's what it is? Okay.
It is on?
Yeah.
Hi. All right, so in 2025, there were 742 IVC transports. In 24, there were 836. Once this is approved, we'll be adjusting the hours of the teams that work to operate at times in which these IVCs are most frequently being taken out, so that we can ensure that we're there to provide the supports that's needed during that time. But again, as Ryan noted initially, we'll be able to report more data about the actual numbers of transports once that happens.
As for the qualifications I can pull up the actual agreement. I have 7,000 tabs open as per usual. Let's see. One section in the requirements talks about having an unmarked car, and then later on in the agreement it says either a heart emblem car or an unmarked car. Is that why the inconsistency?
Sure. So we wanted to ensure that we were able to transport as often as possible. So leaving that variability is going to help us do that. We'll have one vehicle dedicated to this team. So we want to make sure that we're able to do that during off hours if there's any maintenance for that vehicle or other times. But primarily, we would like, whenever possible, for the folks to be transported using our unmarked vehicle.
Briefly, I believe that statute also, and I think our attorney might be here, statute around this that allows for this does have a preference for an unmarked vehicle when that's possible. So that's why unmarked is there. But one of the agreements in working through our two attorneys was to allow some things to be figured out through a supporting SOP. So some of the details, we didn't want to overly prescribe all the details in this so that we can work that out in a supporting SOP that would guide this work.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that is, I read the statute too, but it does say in the transporting agency as well, that it may be accomplished by crisis responders when the following criteria are met, and it says an unmarked vehicle with secure backseat is available for transit. Later on, it does say a hard vehicle as well, but I'm concerned that this is going to contradict a later, maybe this is an attorney question. I don't know if somebody's here to answer that question.
I'm wondering oh, great, perfect. Thank you.
It's not you, it's the Wi-Fi microphone. So
Good afternoon.
use that instead.
Am I on?
Oh, I am. Great.
Hi, Sophia Hernandez from the City Attorney's Office.
Did you hear my question?
I did.
Okay.
And I think I do want to highlight Lee Major's response in that the statute is permissive and we wanted to allow ourselves a little bit of flexibility based on the situations as they come up. Certainly if an unmarked vehicle isn't available, but a HART vehicle is available, I think the preference would be to go ahead and transport them in that vehicle instead of a police vehicle, because not having the option then would default to it being a police vehicle.
Yes, that makes sense to me. The way that the contract is written, it doesn't seem like it's leaving y'all open that option. It sounds like it says when all criteria are met, and it only has unmarked vehicle listed, and this is C2D is what I'm looking at. CIID. But it only says unmarked vehicle, so it just sounds like that's the criteria that has to be met. And then later on, we talk about unmarked or marked vehicle, but it sounds like if there's not an unmarked vehicle available for transit, that this then would not kick in.
Okay, so
I don't know.
thank you for flagging that. We'll certainly touch base with staff, and if any revisions are necessary, make those before the council meeting.
Okay, thank you. And then I heard y'all say, I think that there was one unmarked vehicle that was available for transit. Is that correct?
Yes, we're in the process of ordering it, so it will be soon.
Okay, great. I didn't realize there was one, so that answers that question. And then I am curious about the policy generally without a magistrate's order of doing IVC. I know it's not directly relevant to this, but there does seem to be some commentary that's been coming both from community and also directly from Durham Police Department that there is a lean towards involuntarily committing folks who are unhoused when there is activity. Can you speak to that at all?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that. Our teams would only, initiate the IVC process when it was clinically necessary.
And I don't know if Director Smith, did you have anything to add there?
No, I think Lee said it well. I don't have anything to add. I mean, that does not ring true to my experience or anything that I'm seeing. I could also ask Assistant Director Vance, who's over our street outreach team. I mean, the HART program is not using involuntary commitment as a strategy for addressing folks who may need to move off the streets and into housing.
Okay, so there's been no increase for, and the statistics that you said earlier for magistrate ordered ones was that there actually seems to be a decrease from 2024 to 2025. Is that correct?
I could follow up. I don't have an answer today. I could provide a follow-up on comparing this year to date versus last year and the number of involuntary commitments that we're seeing. I don't have that data before me, but happy to provide that in a follow-up.
Okay, but no policy that relates to unhoused folks that's any different than anyone else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Those are all my questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
Anybody
think I'm
else?
still up.
Okay, thanks. Item number 6, Councilmember Cook, this is also you.
Hi.
Hi again.
I just had one quick question, which is why did we not use an RFP for this service?
Great. I'm going to have Assistant Director Anise Vance come up and answer that, but I actually meant to say something on the last item real quick, and I'm sorry. It's just a nice moment, and I want to see if I get in trouble for this. So I don't get a chance to talk about the IRT, but we got a lovely email, and I just want to share one thing because this is a nice, an opportunity for residents to hear about this. This is why we do this work. As you can imagine, it's very difficult for one of those situations is parents have to go down to the magistrate. They're very concerned about a child. That's a hard thing for a parent to do. We got an email from a parent, and they write, "I cannot adequately express how grateful I am for you and your team's response and presence. It made what is always a fraught, stressful situation as respectful and organized as possible. Kelly and Shania, who are the two folks who work on our team, were stellar professionals throughout and made the IVC process as smooth as possible, from filling out the paperwork to making repeated trips to access my son. I don't have their email address, but you convey my deep gratitude." And then she goes on to say, "I told this team this is the 7th IVC experience for my son and myself, and it was, by leaps and bounds, the best IV experience I've ever had." Apologies, now we'll go back to the item in question. I'm going to ask Director Advance to come up. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry. The question was why we didn't use an RFP process for this. So we will be using an RFP process for this. We're targeting the fall to release an RFP. This was an extension of the same contract that Coordinated Entry already had. Part of the reason we didn't do an RFP this spring was because we have 3 RFPs out right now, and then the HUD process starts in the HUD consolidated application process, as you all know, Councilmember Cook, starts May 29th is what we're hearing from HUD. And that's a 90-day process. Again, that's what we're hearing from them right now. That could always change when they actually drop it. Part of the logic is to make sure that our staff has an opportunity to have fully fair and transparent processes and really engage in those processes. A bigger part of the logic is that it's many of the same homelessness providers that are applying across these different processes. And so stacking too many on top of each other ends up meaning that sometimes people feel stretched in terms of what it is they can and cannot apply for. And then, you know, sometimes people feel stretched in terms of the scoring committees. Our scoring committees for these RFP processes often always involve folks who are homelessness providers, folks who are from different sectors, so they can take a look at the RFP responses from different angles. And the pool of those folks also we want to make sure is as robust as possible per cycle.
My questions on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Next up is item number 7. Councilmember Baker, this is your item.
Hey, thanks for coming up. I just want to confirm my understanding of these cases because they come up from time to time. So North Carolina Department of Transportation, when they implement a project and there are city utilities in the way, it is the responsibility of the city to pay for the relocation, even if NCDOT does those relocations. So that's the case for this item. I'm curious, do we have a dollar value of kind of an annual? Are we seeing more of these? Do we know how much we're putting towards these kinds of cases? Because this one is upwards of $800,000. And in this specific case, so from the staff report, NCDOT Division 5 originally planned for turn lanes and signals. After further review, they determined that a roundabout should be installed at the intersection. So they planned for something, the utilities went in, they said, actually, never mind, we want to change what we're doing. And now the city has to pay up $800,000 to relocate the utilities. Am I understanding that correctly?
Good afternoon, Clint Blackburn, Environmental and Street Services. Not exactly. We were actually discussing this before we came, that we probably should have worded this a little differently because it does lead to believe that we installed them based on this and then it changed. When it says that they originally planned for turn lanes, DOT has long-range plans for these things, and, you know, like they're sitting here thinking, okay, in 10, 20 years, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And so when they reviewed the plans, they realized, hey, a safer option here, you know, would be, because, you know, we're always talking to them about Vision Zero and about how things can be better. So they, they're taking that under advisement, and they saw this situation. They said, hey, a safer option would be a roundabout. Now, would we have had to relocate the water lines if there was a turn lane? I couldn't answer that today. I don't know the answer to that question. But in this case, we would have to, based on the roundabout, which is a safer option. So it is safer for our residents and, you know, the public at large. So, but no, the lines were already there. And so it might have had to be moved anyway. Without getting into the concept plans, I really couldn't answer that question.
Okay, so we're not sure if we're not a roundabout, which I support roundabouts. I think best practices show that those are effective ways of calming traffic and making intersections safer. But we don't know if we're just a turn lane, we might have had to do this anyway.
Yeah.
But certainly in this case, we did, and they did it at our encouragement. And
I don't know exactly how much influence we had on this particular intersection, because I wasn't part of those discussions. Okay. But so I wouldn't venture to say that we influenced that decision directly.
Okay, understood. These come up from time to time, and they're pretty high dollar values. And I'm curious if this has come up at the league in any conversations with the league, just because, yeah, these are high dollar values, and they seem to come up frequently and the weight of the cost falls onto local governments for NCDOT projects. It's pretty substantial. So,
Councilmember Rist?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, Councilmember Baker, I know you're looking at me, new league member, so it's a great question. I haven't been to my first league meeting, but I'll definitely pursue that with league membership. I do want to ask about how we're funding this down in the budget. Is it sort of a line item, or how are we funding this?
It's going to come out of the water fund, the water enterprise fund.
And so my other question is, because again, Councilmember Baker mentioned this, these come up a lot. And I know we've talked about these a lot at the TPO level. Usually the conversation is like, we want a roundabout. I mean, we had speakers here just recently, earlier today, talking about Vision Zero. So folks at the TPO will say, we want a roundabout, this intersection or that. DOT often says like, no, we can't do it. So I think it's great that DOT is eager to have us do a roundabout here. I'm kind of curious what's our long range plan for roundabouts as a better tool for making intersections safer for all kinds of, whether it's cars or pedestrians or bikers, and how we plan to fund those improvements.
Yeah, we often have those discussions with our transportation department. We have monthly meetings where we discuss all kinds of things, and that's something we often discuss. When we install roundabouts, that comes from the CIP fund. Yeah.
So long range, are we looking for like a lot of more roundabouts?
We do
for
have,
residents, like what can we expect in that regard?
I mean, so we do have one that we're designing right now, that transportation designing right now at the corner of, I'm gonna look at Pete, Marine and American. The design is mostly complete at this point. I think we're in the acquisitions now, yeah. And then we have another one that we're looking at the corner of University and Business 15501, right there next to the Q Shack, that intersection. So we're looking at it. Now that is something that is those are a DOT intersection. So that is something we'll have to talk to DOT about, and we're just now, starting that, process. So I don't want to promise anything, but just to answer your question, yes, we are looking at some things. Every time we look at an intersection improvement, we look at the whole toolbox about what would be the best design for that, best treatment for that. And oftentimes we discuss roundabouts, but as we know, roundabouts are very expensive. So it's not something that we just jump on. We want to make sure we have a really good reason for doing that, because it does require a lot of city funds.
Right, and more land as well, right?
And more land as well, yeah.
Yeah, so safe to say we can expect more of these. I'm excited about that, and I look forward to working with state DOT to see if we can sort of share some of the costs of doing this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Is that all? Okay, thank you. Next item I have is item number 14, Councilmember Kopak and then Councilmember Cook.
Good afternoon, Sean Egan, Transportation Director.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Director Egan. So just first of all, just exciting to see these updates rolling out at the 9 locations to make our crossing safer for our pedestrians. So thank you for this work of you and your team. I just want to make sure I understand the pain points that are driving up some of the project costs that I saw. Is there a shortage of vendors for this work, or what are we seeing sort of leading to some of these cost increases?
So thank you for that question. So we conducted a solicitation where we reached out to all of the vendors who are qualified through the NCDOT qualification process. It's about 500 qualified firms. However, when we receive bids and when we have conversations with firms in our area, what we hear is that there is a limited number of firms working in this area, and that they're busy. And so what we'll find is that in some cases we'll get one bid. In this case, we got 2 bids. So it's not necessarily a shortage of firms, but there's a tremendous amount of work that's happening in infrastructure, a lot of it being led by NCDOT. And so those firms are trying to manage a very heavy workload. And so that's why we're seeing 1 or 2 bids on some of our projects.
Thank you.
I'm going to try on this. Do you want to just pass it along, I guess?
Did this one,
Why,
maybe
she
just
said
to
it
lean
was
in
an
more?
issue with all of them from the internet. So, okay. Can you talk about how much of the funding is coming from HUD and the restrictions that are on that funding? Might be, a different. Maggie.
I'm going to bring up my partners from Housing and Neighborhood
Yes.
Services here to talk about the HUD piece.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. Maggie Carnegie, Acting Assistant Director of Administration with Housing and Neighborhood Services. Good afternoon, council members. Councilmember Cook, there is $750,000 of community development block grant allocated to this body of work. It is from previous years' allocations, our 2022 and 2023 program years.
And that money comes down, and obviously there were factors that designated these specific 9 sites, but what are the restrictions and how did we end up using this for pedestrian crosswalks? And is there money forthcoming for other potential infrastructure?
So funding for these projects was allocated in those respective years' annual action plans that were adopted in 2022 and 2023 respectively. We worked in partnership with transportation and also what was, I believe, community engagement when they were part of Neighborhood Improvement Services. They identified some of these areas through a consultation with residents, I believe, that identified these specific sites. And then we have to qualify them as eligible for use with the Community Development Block Grant funding. So it is qualified using a low-mod area benefit analysis. But these types of activities were, again, planned for in those annual action plans.
Do we have subsequent plans in later year allocations?
So far, not in the 2024 or 2025 or even 2026 year. Those project funding allocations are more focused on affordable housing activities, and that's indicative through the competitive application process we recently facilitated. Based on need and evaluation of, we have about a $2 million allocation of CDBG each year, and approximately a quarter of it goes to paying off a Section 108 loan we have and some other set-asides that are required. So that really leaves us with about $1.5 million each year to allocate to projects. And then through the competitive application process we facilitated this past year and moving forward, we'll continue to facilitate. That's what it identifies how we're going to invest in the breadth of eligible CDBG activities.
I think I've asked you this question before, I'm gonna ask you again. Is there Is there a possibility to expand the grant if we have additional projects to do? Like, are we potentially leaving money on the table by not including some of these infrastructure things? Like, is there any priority of funding that's outside of just affordable housing?
So the priorities for CDBG are identified in our larger planning documents. We aren't leaving behind any funding. Our allocation on an annual basis is what it is. It's determined by a formula for all grantees throughout the nation. And it's calculated at HUD for a variety of different factors inform that formula and that allocation. So we can, as a jurisdiction, choose how to expend it and allocate it based on community needs, based on the applications we get from subrecipients and community partners who are going to go forth and implement and carry out these types of bodies of work.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Next up, I
Mayor,
have.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Baker.
Just real quick. And just to clarify what exactly we're talking about here. So these are mostly pedestrian signals and also some crosswalk painting for the most part?
That is correct.
Okay. And are these, is there going to be any kind of exploration of tightening radii, bump outs, any infrastructure changes, or is this primarily paint and signals?
I'm looking to my transportation friends. Yes, paint and signals.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have item number 15. Councilmember Kopak, that's your item. And then we have a few speakers. Actually, Councilmember Kopak, I'm going to take the residents first and then your question. On speakers, I have, first speaker I have is Mary Rose Fontana.
Good
afternoon. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Mary Rose Fontana, and I'm here with Bike Durham to support the contract extension with Stantec for the Mangum Roxboro street designs. Having seen the 25% designs and initial comments from NCDOT, I would like to encourage the city to negotiate with NCDOT during the next phase of design to improve safety for all road users and replace maintenance costs for both the city and state along the corridor. Some design considerations include reducing crosswalk widths, identifying a safe north-south bike route, and implementing traffic calming measures while lowering speed limits, which would align with the city's Vision Zero goals to reduce roadway deaths and serious injuries by 50% by 2035 and 100% by 2045. Initial comments from NCDOT do not necessarily align with these goals, and based on current crash rates and designs along the corridor, the state's requests may further the corridor's current crash rate and associated maintenance costs. Relatedly, I'd like to comment on the earlier discussion about roundabouts and their associated costs. Operation and maintenance costs for roundabouts are significantly cheaper than signalized intersections, so the capital costs like relocated utilities and construction should balance out over time. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to engaging with the city on the next phases of design.
Thank you so much. The next speaker I have for item number 15 is Gregory Williams. Good afternoon. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. Firstly, I'd like to open up by thanking the city for being open to conversations about being more ambitious about the design of this two-way conversion. We know that it is a project that is a long time in the making and a ton has gone into it. And so to get back the 25% designs, we are confident after seeing those that we may have to make some concessions for the 100% design, but we are fully in favor at Bike Durham of having the 100% designs funded. Let me see, I got a couple of small notes here to hit. Some of the things that we really would like to see, as we are hoping that this is ambitious with the 100% design, is the continuous north-south bike corridor, even if it isn't all bike lanes within Mangum or Roxboro. If there is at least a concerted effort like there is with the Taylor Street bike route with the Sharrows to make sure that there's a highly visible and accessible route that folks can use if they aren't directly on the corridor, that would be fantastic. We are also hoping to see even more improvements with the pedestrian crossings. Again, it's just one of those areas where maybe the cost of maintenance and the cost of implementation can be high, but the cost of a person's life is much higher when it comes to that family. So everything that we can do to make sure that those corridors are safe for our pedestrians and families who are moving through them would be fantastic. We know that we have schools in that corridor, we have jobs, we have offices. So everywhere that folks need to be, we want to make sure that they're able to make it safely. In addition, I don't want to run out of time here, just keeping up the open dialogues with the Department of Transportation on these designs. As we've seen from the conversation on the roundabout, we really are potentially looking at a new era of design with our new lead engineer, Becca Gallus. And so we have an opportunity to really look at some of the design choices we've made and really push the envelope. We want to thank Stantec for their understanding and willingness to meet with us. And I'll be back tonight to talk more. Really appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. And then Mr. Oh, no, I think, okay, he made his comment just generally, I guess. Okay, I didn't know if Mr. Perlstein wanted to speak again. Thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Kopak. Oh, I'm going to give Director Egan a chance. Sorry about that.
Yes, thank you to the speakers. Thank you, Director Egan, to you and your team. I had wanted to elevate some of the points that were just made, so thanks for saying those so eloquently, but just to highlight the need for continued work with NCDOT around the design to make sure that we're aligning as best as possible with our Vision Zero goals. So thank you for your team's attention to that. Excited to see this work proceed, want to see more work proceed around moving away from unsafe, basically one-way highways through our neighborhoods. Hope, Duke Gregson and other high injury corridors are next. Actually, the only question I had was for, it could be you, Director Egan, or Ms. Tracy, just around the MBE goal for this project, and just to talk about the role and size of the Just Cities participation and other MBE opportunities going forward for this and similar projects.
Sure. So
yeah.
I'll do that.
Minority Business Enterprise,
Yeah.
MBE. Thank you,
Right.
Councilmember Bruce.
So we had to, when we first solicited for the design services for this, based on the scope and cost of design, as well as the funding availability that we were addressing at the time, we had to reconfigure. That's why we're bringing this amendment forward now. We had the funding available to get us to this 25% point. And so Just Cities was one of the minority business subconsultants. So when we went back to reconfigure that contract, some of that work was shifted to the future phase, the current phase that we're bringing forward on the contract. So that happened as part of that. And so I'm going to look at my notes here just so that I don't get the percentages incorrect. But the Just Cities is receiving an additional 2% of the total contract amount. Their combined share of the full contract value of about $1.676 million will be 6% of that value. So that additional work will bring them up to that 6% participation level. All right, and I'll just say in response to kind of the beginning of your comment, I appreciate the comments about building and strengthening that partnership with NCDOT. I actually met with Division 5 engineer Becca Gallus earlier today to talk about this project and some of the other projects that you mentioned. I also wanted to share that along with our Chief Transportation Engineer, Pete Nicholas. We have Matthew Nolfo, who is our NCDOT District Engineer for Durham. He's here with us so that, as a visible demonstration of the strength of the partnership that we are building with NCDOT and our focus. And I got really good feedback from the division engineer in my discussion earlier today. Our engineers are working, and the city's engineers are working in close collaboration with the NCDOT district office as well. And so I wanted to thank Matthew Nolfo for joining us today and for all of the work that he and his staff have done to help us move this project forward.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Baker and then Councilmember Rist.
Thank you. So yeah, just want to say thanks again for this contract, this exciting stuff. I know this has been a long time coming, but I think this is a great discussion to recognize that, like, while this has been a long time coming, and this is in multiple plans the city has had, this is not sort of like necessarily just going to happen, right? I recall last year, even in the budget process, there was conversations to make sure we had funding in the budget to make this happen. And I know folks in the council, as well as staff and residents, were eager to make this a priority of the city. So thank you so much for this work, bringing it forward. I think this is the kind of thing people talk about nationwide, about transforming these two-way highways, as Councilmember Kopak said, into really traffic calming city streets. And so I'm so excited about this, and thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Just tangentially related, since we're talking about Vision Zero, I was curious if you have any updates about where we are with developing a new street design manual. I know that that's one of the key actions in the Vision Zero action plan. I know that it's something
Director Young.
We were going to tie to the UDO, and now situation with the UDO. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Sarah Young with Planning and Development. That is actually an item that is in our work program for this upcoming year. And so we do expect to get that underway regardless of the LDC. It's much needed.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I just wanted to say thank you to the NCDOT staff for being here, for our Division 5 director. She's been incredible, and it's been, I will say, hard fought to see some of the changes we wanted to see from NCDOT, but well worth it. It will make our residents' lives and increase our goals around walking and biking and taking other modes of transportation besides a car. And so again, just as a longtime member of the TPO and been in the trenches for a minute, I really appreciate the kind of shift in partnerships, and also to city transportation staff. Thank you so much. I think the next item I have up is item number 18, Councilmember Baker and then Councilmember Kopak.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Dawn Greeley, Water Management.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming up. You've given us updates on this as it's progressed, and had a big update in the last presentation that you gave us. I was just curious if there were any more updates that as things have evolved on this issue since the last presentation that you gave us.
Nothing new other than the fact that now we're moving forward into spending real dollars and, putting this project in to make it happen.
Cool. Then I'm also just curious, Jordan Lake is obviously a place where a lot of people like to go to recreate. And so, we're talking about major infrastructure is, on the front end of the design, is there thinking about making it a design that is, ties into the natural landscape?
We have been working with North Carolina Parks and Recreation, especially since we're impacting the Vintage Point boat ramp. So we've been in discussions with them about, how can we work with them to build this project. They've come back to us with, hey, here's some improvements that we think would be beneficial as part of the project. And we've finalized those, including as part of the construction, some upgrades to that facility. So we're kind of excited to see at the end of the project, I know we're going to be closing the both ramp for about 2 to 3 years, but that facility should be have a new look when it opens after our construction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kopak?
Yeah, thank you, Director Greeley. So a couple of questions. The first, just kind of at a high level, when we're thinking about some of the rezoning required for this sort of project, in what ways will that kind of intersect back with the city, come before bodies like GCCPC? How much of that is sort of led by and is being done by some of our neighborhood jurisdictions? Like how much of that actually is going to be coming back before the city?
I'm going to turn that over to Lori Montgomery, who's our project manager, to be in more detail. Certainly we went through a lot of the rezoning when the treatment plant and the raw water intake was in Chatham County, and we completed all of that with all the public outreach in those communities. We'll have to do some minor changes since we're not building the treatment plant in Chatham County, but that's more administrative. But we do expect to go through similar process here in Durham. We've already had some public meetings for the project, but I'll turn that over to Lori so you can talk a little bit more. So Lori Montgomery.
Good afternoon. Lori Montgomery, Senior Engineering Manager, Utility Engineering, Water Management. So as far as rezoning for the intake site on Jordan Lake, that process was complete with the Chatham County entities as part of the original preliminary engineering report process. There are some minor changes to the package that was submitted to them that we will need to consider. Since the water treatment plant is moving to a different location, we have a little bit more room available on the site to do things. So the layout of the raw water pump station and some of those facilities could change a little bit. There's been some preliminary outreach done to Chatham County and their Board of Commissioners, their planning department already. Our understanding is that that will be a relatively simple administrative process that can be approved at the staff level. If we get into things like building really tall structures that could exceed current height restrictions, that is something that could require going back in front of the Chatham County Board of Commissioners to get approval for that. And then on the water treatment plant side, which is being done under, that'll be designed and constructed under a different contract, that parcel next to, on Farrington Road, adjacent to the South Durham Water Reclamation Facility, will need to be rezoned. And we will be working with the Durham City County Planning Department and Development to do that. We have had preliminary outreach with them. Our understanding is we can expect that to take about 6 to 9 months. And it will either require a special use permit as part of that rezoning process or potentially redesignating the entire parcel to more of a utility type use. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, those are all the pulled items. I want to acknowledge that Mayor Williams is here, and so I'm going to pass it back to him in time for our presentations.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you all. I believe we're going to continue the presentations in the order as presented. Is that 17? Item number 17. Thank you, everyone, for your comments thus far. I've been following along on YouTube. I'm glad we have that service. It helps when you're stuck in traffic.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Don Greeley, Water Management. I'm here to talk about the proposed water and sewer rates for FY27. A quick overview of the utility. Our utility continues to grow as Durham grows. with our miles of water lines accounts, backflow preventers that we have to inspect and oversee. As we typically do with our rate presentations, we'll talk a little bit about our rate objectives, strategies, and key issues, talk about the capital program, customer consumption, and then the proposed rates. Our rate setting objectives have not changed. It's affordability to all of our customers, especially our Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 customers. Sustainability for the utility to be able to assure that all the operating costs and long-term capital costs and regulations are addressed, and also to continue to promote water efficiency and conservation. When it comes to affordability, we have tiered rates to help empower our customers on how they can use water more effectively and more efficiently. We use a long-term rate model that we update every year, 10 years, to be able to minimize customer impacts, especially in the lower tiers. And then we have programs to assist our lower income and fixed income customers. Historically, we've been moving towards this period of the next 5 years with the Jordan Lake project having a heavy influence on where we are with our rates. As you can see, roughly 80% of our customers are within the first 3 tiers. For affordability programs, we certainly have payment plans to help our customers manage their payments and payment arrangements to have flexibility in those payments. We offer the hardship fund, which is $150,000 annually out of the general fund to help with customers and when they have difficulty paying their water bill. So far this year, over 844 households have taken advantage of the hardship program, and we expect to expend $89,000 by the end of the year. This is the second year that the expenditures have been below the $150,000. So in discussions with our staff, we're going to be looking at those requirements and qualifications to see if potentially we can expand this program going into next year. So we hope to be able to do that work out of the summer and come back with recommendations to the city manager's office this fall.
How's that hardship fund? Is that funded through the water? It's funded through your internal enterprise fund?
No, it's funded through the general fund.
And just briefly, when you say expand, I mean expanded or, did you say expand or extend?
Currently, the requirements that we have, like the $240 per household per month, we're going to be looking at if we had more than one adjustment during the year, or if there are other requirements that we could potentially look at that for households to qualify, to see how that would, how much money that's involved, and then bringing those recommendations back to the city manager's office for consideration.
So did you say expand or extend?
Well, currently, any unused money from one fiscal year is rolled into the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So we're looking at maybe expanding the program to be able to have more households be able to take advantage of that.
Thank you.
So just to summarize, you're basically evaluating your program to see how to make it better or more efficient at this point.
Yes.
Thank you.
To see if we can reach more households. Our long-term strategy, we have a 10-year financial model that takes into all the expenditures of the utility. We continue to have modest rate increases to be able to have a sustainable utility and to try to smooth borrowing out. Our capital program is, of course, very robust. We're in 5 years of very large spending with our capital program. Overall, we continue to spend money to maintain the existing infrastructure that we have on our water plants, our wastewater plants, our collection system and distribution system, and our dams. We want to, certainly have the generational project that we have with the Jordan Lake project. We have continuing regulations. We have some PFAS, emerging contaminants. The upcoming Falls and Jordan Lake rules that we'll have to meet. And certainly make sure we're expanding our infrastructure to make sure that development can continue within Durham. Our costs continue to rise. This slide I haven't changed this slide in 3 years now. Looking back the 4 years, it's continuing, our costs continue to go up and up, unfortunately. And our, certainly our time frame for projects is starting to stretch out a little bit when we do projects, just because of the size of the projects, the strain on the engineering community as a whole, because there's a lot fewer firms and there's a lot of work going on in the triangle. So here's a sampling of some of the projects that are over $25 million that are currently be rolling out in the next few years. Once again, touching all aspects of the utility. As note on the, when we talked about the Goose Creek letter to industry, we'll be have that item discussing that in just a few minutes. But certainly we'll be, Goose Creek is currently funded within the CIP, but we'll be looking forward to, submitting funding for the Ellery Creek and the Lick Creek and the Forest Hills outfall replacements in the coming fiscal year. Over the next 5 years, we're projecting to ask council for almost $2.7 billion for allocation for projects. $1 billion of that is the Jordan Lake project. So on consumption, if you look at the kind of since 2014, you can see relatively our overall consumption is continuing to grow, which just further shows the need for the Jordan Lake project. Our consumption has not changed for the last, been pretty consistent with our tiers. As I mentioned, about 87% of our customers are in the first 3 tiers. And once again, our goal is to really make tier 1, tier 2 really affordable to our customers, and that they're over 73% of our customer base. For the rates for FY27, for the first time, as we have moved into a large capital program, we've now 51% of the costs of the utility now are related to rate-funded CIP or debt service on the capital projects. We're proposing a little over $170 million for the utility for the upcoming year to take care of all of the expenses of the utility. For the rates for this coming year, there'll be a modest increase in all service and consumption charges, continuation of the watershed protection fee for the 3 cents per 100 cubic feet. Of course, customers see different rates depending on their water consumption and what tiers they're in. We'll continue the tier 3 rates for commercial, multifamily, residential, industrial, and institutional. Double rates for outside the city limits. And of course, different sewer charges will be for customers served by the county wastewater plant because they set the rates for theirs. The proposed rates covers the operating costs, paper performance increases, pay-go funding, debt service, fleet replacement fund for the vehicles that are in water management, general fund transfer, as well as, as I said, the 3% per tier for watershed protection, covers all the necessary debt covenants and maintains adequate operating reserves. Certainly this past year, we went out for a large debt revenue bond sale, and all of the rating agencies continued their high rating of the Durham utility. Here you can see the incremental increases for water rates, the monthly sewer charge for service, $1.23, associated charges for the volume charges, $1.36 for the service charge for wastewater, and 68 cents for the volume charge for wastewater. Comparison of what we projected last year to this year. Last year, we were projecting 11% consistently for the next 5 years at this time last year. This coming year, we're seeking 12%, and then we're projecting out 14 because we continue to see our costs climb for our projects. The typical household customer, which is the budget guidelines for a typical customer, is going to see a 12% increase from about $80.08 up to $89.75 per month. What that looks like overall for a Tier 1 customer, that'll be an annual increase of about $44.16 spread out over the 12 months. For commercial accounts, 20 CCF 5/8" meter commercial will see a $26 increase per month, and up to $269 for a 2-inch commercial account with a large water consumer. This is a snapshot from the UNC School of Government Environmental Finance Center. They changed their dashboard, so it looks a little different from last year. But when you go to their dashboard for a consumption of 4,000 cubic feet, compared to the other utilities across North Carolina with similar size accounts, you can see we're slightly below average with those. The lower right-hand dial there is affordability index with compared to median household income, and the finance center, so that should be under 2%, and you can see it's 1.02, so which is good. And then looking at it just regionally, other utilities within 25 miles of us, once again, we're below the average in that upper left-hand corner dial, and similarly, the household median income is similar. When you're comparing the larger utilities across the North Carolina as well as some regional, you can see our rates for 4,000 gallons per month we're right at the average for this year, and then projecting into next year, from what we've heard back from what's being proposed across North Carolina, we'll stay there right about the average for large utilities across North Carolina. And with that, any questions?
Thank you so much for your presentation. Just have a question in regards to the hardship. So, and I may be foreshadowing a little bit because I know we're currently experiencing drought conditions, and I've seen that other municipalities have moved to start penalizing customers if they have a leak or so. So just want to know in that regard, if there is any, if someone is a low-income household or experiencing a hardship and they have a water leak or such, do you all try to connect them with resources to kind of fix that leak, or how do you resolve that?
Typically, when they reach out to us and we see that there's a high consumption bill, we'll in our discussions with them, we'll try to find out, do you know how that happened? Frequently they don't. So we'll offer to come in and do an assessment with our conservation staff to come in to look at all of their fixtures in the house to see if they can find maybe something that was causing it. What we see a lot of in older homes is the toilet flap gets stuck and you jiggle the handle and people don't understand how much water can be lost when that toilet gets stuck. If there's an actual break, we'll give them credit once they've shown us that it's fixed. They give us the bill to show, hey, that whatever was broken it was fixed. We'll wait for consumption 2 months, and then we'll credit the water and the sewer back to them if they show us that was repaired.
Thank you. And then going back to the question, so I do see you had some breakdowns for commercial, but for the tiers that were stated earlier, like tier 1 through 5, so are these all residential?
Just for residential.
Okay. And so for the highest consumers, this is for my own curiosity, for tier 4 and tier 5, who are these people, honestly? How are you consuming so much water? Are those large households or just trying to figure it out?
People who more than likely have very nice lawns and gardens around their house, because those are, for people who have all the meters that are for irrigation are billed at tier 5.
Okay.
So that's why you're seeing that up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Ms. Greeley, as always. Just a couple questions. So, yeah, first of all, on this affordability thing, I appreciate the conversation about the hardship piece. Obviously, with tier 3 rates going up anywhere from 12 to 14% in the next 5 years going forward. That's greater than inflation, so it's something we want to be aware of. I know that having safe, clean drinking water is like a basic need of all our residents, and I appreciate the work you're doing with the current capacity, but also adding capacity to make sure we are building for the future. So I know it's not easy. My question, I had a couple of questions. One was, you talked about, one of your slides talked about total consumption. Do you have any data on, because one of the principles or one of the priorities of your department is also conservation, right? So do you know what usage is like per household in tier 3, or are we seeing sort of like declining average consumption per household, or what do we know about
It's slowly
conservation?
declining. I can ask Sid Miller to step up and give you maybe a quick statistic or two, because we just completed our long-range water resources plan, but the typical, and I'll let Sid
I'd
answer.
love to hear that, yeah.
Good afternoon, Sid Miller, Assistant Director for Administration, Communication, and Compliance in Water Management. So I can tell you that we keep track of what the average household consumption or per capita, actually more the per capita consumption is, and we like to look at a moving 3-year average because things bounce around.
How do you measure per capita?
So we take the total. We know what our service area is, and we can compare the service area and the number of connections with what the planning department estimates the population at. And we typically look at July from year to year.
Okay, so it's less about per household, it really is per capita.
Yeah, we generally check per capita, but I can tell you, as Director Greeley had said, it's been going down over time, and we're now at about 54 gallons per capita per day, which is, I don't know exactly, but I think it's one of the lowest in the state, and it's one of the lowest in the country.
And that's due to just conservation efforts, or what's the?
I'm going to say it's due to our water efficiency and conservation team.
I love it, yeah. But yeah, and anything else, is that also sort of like any other residents kind of understanding the value? I mean,
We have a culture of conservation in Durham, and we promote that.
Yeah, it's really important. Appreciate that. Last question from Mr. Greeley. Raleigh's rates are comparatively low compared to ours. Why is that? Is that in part because like their only source is Falls Lake, right? Of water.
No,
Raleigh.
they have like Benson and another lake, but
I
the
guess
Army
is
Corps
it-
of Engineers built that for them. Right?
Falls Lake.
Falls Lake.
Right. And so like I guess I'm saying, so we invest a lot of resources and time and capacity in Falls Lake, right? The rules rebound, all that kind of piece. So part of our contribution to the UNRBA and Falls Lake is helping to keep Raleigh's water rates low. Is that, can I say that, or is that, what's the connection there?
Well, it's environmental stewardship, right? Just keeping the overall environment cleaner. Certainly everything that we do in the upper Neuse that we can do to keep the water that's draining to Falls Lake clean certainly keeps that facility cleaner for the people who use the facility and all of the different recreational activities that are there. But certainly that's to, Raleigh's advantage because, their treatment costs are lower. They were also able to, work with the Army Corps of Engineers and get an additional 20 million gallons per day allocation out of the lake. So they increased their water supply just through paperwork.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, I'm not knocking it, but we're
Right,
having
no,
to,
we're building a new
we're having to
What's your
build a lot
intake?
of infrastructure. But once we have the infrastructure there, if the Army Corps ever reallocated that lake, then we would be able to take advantage of a different allocation if we were successful through an allocation process.
Great, thank you.
And I did want to echo one thing that from Sid when he talked about, we have a conservation culture. Our conservation staff does a great job going into schools across Durham. And for the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of outreach for Durham public schools, just to go into career fairs with high schools, just to try to introduce students to the water industry, to start thinking about us. And the staff that goes there have said that they have a lot of questions. They know what's going on. So I think that's just want to give kudos to our staff that invest that, because we're seeing it at the other end. You know, we're going into the classrooms, but then when we're having these career fairs, they know a lot more about water. So
Wayne Drub made an appearance at the council meeting with Councilmember Kovac. So yeah, all that stuff is helpful. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I do just want to say that that line of conservation, I mean, that's been, well, I mean, we all know what happened in Durham in 08, 09, and so we lived some hard times in that moment for those. I did not live in the city at the time, but I had good friends who shared all their woes. So we learned some hard lessons and we pivoted, and that's what you see today. And, you know, I see your staff at every single community event that I'm at ever. So thank you for being there, and thank you to Durham residents for being conservationists around their water and really taking part in our toilet replacement programs and all the things that we do that are really, really beneficial. And I know that this is some expensive infrastructure, but it is pretty incredible long-term planning.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and maybe I missed it, the impact where it said Pittsboro and someone else was merging. Chatham County. Was it
Yeah, City of Sanford merging with Pittsboro and Chatham County. That had an impact on just how we, the Jordan Lake project.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, and having to just relook at what we were doing because the investment, because, you know, City of Sanford wasn't looking at committing into doing anything in the short term. So
Now, is that in addition to the Hall River folks, or is that the same thing?
It's separate.
Separate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And my other question was regarding those donuts. Have you looked at inflation on how much the donuts cost?
Yes.
Things have gone up. So. No, thank you.
Yep.
All right. That'll be it. Thank you.
I had a presentation. I'm working off of these two notices. I didn't see these items on the agenda.
Is that the next item?
I don't know if we should present now or. I'm working off of two agenda items, but we're doing affordable housing.
Were you signed up for the presentation?
I believe.
What's your name again?
Chris Ritter. A presentation won't take long at all either. Or, you know, we just want to comment on it before the public period closes. As one of the RPs says, it will be open until the 22nd. So we wanted to comment on it before these issues close.
Sir, were you here at our last council meeting for the home ARP funding? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But now we're also speaking about the CDBG and the ESG and the HOPWA funds. Just, you know, being able to work out a partnership or propose a partnership for to develop the affordable housing units if the council is not going to reconsider.
Okay, I'm going to let you talk with city staff. You're not signed up to do a public, for public comment today, nor is that an agenda item before us, if I'm
Right, that's what I was trying to
So
say.
city staff is going to be able to talk with you here in a second. I'm just going to move us on because right now, since you're not formally on our agenda, we just need to keep moving.
Public comment, though, if it
Sir, we're
is-
going to let you speak with staff. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Ms. Wallace is going to help you navigate it. She's at the door smiling. The nice. Okay. All right. Our next item is item number 19.
Good afternoon again, Don Gurley, Water Management. I'm here to talk about the Goose Creek outfall updates. We're going to talk about the improvements, some of the outreach we've done since we were last with you, and then talk a little bit about the design and construction schedule. As a reminder, when we issued the letter to industry, we were restricting activities within the Goose Creek Basin. The project is broken up into two phases. When the phase one is complete, then the areas shown in purple would be able to open for development. And then when phase 2 is complete, kind of the middle third of the basin would be open for development. Since we issued the LTI as of the submittal for the agenda cycle, 57 developers have reached out to us. We've evaluated 103 out of the 104 projects that have been submitted to us. We're happy to report that 32 of those projects can move forward fully within the basin. 64 projects can partially move forward until the construction is complete, and 7 would have to be on hold until the construction is complete before they get started. We ask that the development community continue to send any inquiries to DWM Development Inquiry at durhamnc.gov with questions. We've conducted a outreach with the development community on April 15th. About 30 developers or representatives from the development community were there for asking questions. We are having a public meeting this Thursday on the 21st at Miss Lake. We mailed every property owner within the basin to let them know about the letter to industry and about this meeting. So currently, we have about 45 people signed up for the meeting, half virtually and half signed up to be there in person. So we'll be updating our website monthly and or when there's critical communications. When you go to the City of Durham Water Management webpage, you can see the Goose Creek Outfall icon right there on our homepage if you want to get updates, and there's a QR code right there to take you right to the page. If you want to just go right to the page itself, there's the QR code that take you directly to the website for the Goose Creek Improvement Project, and we'll be posting all of our updates there. And then we've also let everybody know that if you would like to be notified whenever we do post updates at the website, that they can use this QR code to be to sign up for getting notices that the website is updated. So. I see a few people taking pictures, so that's pausing. As far as the actual project team, before you today is the agenda item to actually award the construction contract to Kimley-Horn. You previously awarded the program management support for water management to HDR, and they have assisted us with selecting the engineers and getting in the contracts ready for submittal to council for approval. And of course, the Kimley-Horn team was selected. They have actually started work because Kimley-Horn was one of the on-call engineering firms that we've had in our on-call program. So we utilized that process to get them started on this project, and they've completed their aerial surveys while we were finalizing the contract. So they're continuing to do work on the project, awaiting hopefully the approval of the contract this evening. The overall timeline for phase 1, as I said, we've already gotten started. We will be looking, I'll be talking shortly about how we're looking to accelerate that, but from just the early on the program, we would see construction completed in 2029, but we will be looking at how we can expedite that construction. As I said, I'll be talking about that shortly. And then in 2030, we'll expect to have the phase 2 complete. As far as the considerations in the project, we are building phase 2, especially with phase 2, through a highly dense urban corridor. We expect to have 50 different properties that will have to, property owners that we'll be dealing with for easements, whether construction or permanent easements. There will be some environmental impacts, especially on phase 1, because we go through a lot of the floodplain with phase 1. We have 2 interstate crossings. We'll have to deal with all the existing flow that's in the existing line as we build the new line and all the connections that are there. And also, since we're building the line all the way to the treatment plant, we'll have to be doing some work at the treatment plant itself to accommodate the much larger line. Some relatively, the one Two good things about the project for phase one is that most of the land north of I-85 is owned by the city of Durham. So we won't have to worry about negotiating with the property owner for there. And then a lot of the portion of once we cross the interstates is the existing infrastructure is within DOT right away. So that DOT will be a key stakeholder with us as we meet with that, meet with them to see how we can, build the new phase one. And then once we get across 885, we have a handful of property owners that we think we'll have to, negotiate with for property owners. So we are looking at, for phase one, to help accelerate the project, is potentially having multiple packages for construction. The one logical package be an early out in the design process would be the two bores, one under I-85 and the one under I-88 to get the lines across. So, because those could either be bores or tunnels. Usually it's a combination thereof. We can only bore so far and then we hit rock and then it's a tunneling operation to get through. But that we feel that if we can release those packages early, that could help accelerate the construction. We're also going to look for early delivery of easements, have those identified early where possible so we can start the negotiations with the property owners and discussion with them. And then having a lot of pre-submittal meetings with DOT, DEQ, and other regulatory agencies to help expedite the review process through this. Key driver will be making sure that all the early work can proceed and move forward. It'll identify opportunities for schedule acceleration once we have that preliminary work done, or Kimley-Horn has that preliminary work done, and then identifying what the critical path is to be able to move the project forward as fast as possible, and then continuing the easement acquisition and the communication with all the regulatory agencies involved. So we'll be looking at all the different ways we can accelerate this project to the original schedule that I've showed you here. And we'll be, as I said, we'll be posting updates monthly. And when there's critical information that are critical accomplishments there are to let everybody know where we're doing and how we're moving through the project. And with that, I'll open up for questions.
I'll just start off by saying thank you for the presentation. I just want to continue to urge. I appreciate we're going to look at, you guys looking at ways to expedite the process. I just want to reiterate that, because there's more than just, people not being able to build here. It's impacting so many things.
Yes.
So if we're looking for, wow, for the first time in my career, I was able to actually make magic happen. That level of expediting.
Right.
But done right, of course, with quality. Anyone else?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Again, thanks, Ms. Greeley, for the presentation. And I echo the mayor's comments. We don't often talk about how do we expedite stuff. So I really appreciate the thoughtful conversation about how to expedite, looking at the critical path visibility and how you can sort of work within that. I guess, so two questions. One is, you mentioned the 104 projects that have been evaluated. Is that all there is in the pipeline, or is there more there?
That was as of the date we submitted for the agenda. I think we've been contacted by a few other, so we continue to get updates, and we're going to be posting that on the website as well.
But those 104, that's not the universe of all the. There's potentially more projects in the area.
That's how many projects with developers have reached out to us at this time.
Right. Okay.
Right. As I said, about 57 different developers have reached out with us with 104 projects.
Right, yeah. And it's good to know that the 32 are moving forward fully. Of the 64 projects, so on that one, I know when we mentioned to folks, yeah, it's going to be 2029 in terms of timeline. People are like, oh my gosh, it's taking so long. Does that mean that for those 64 that can partially move forward, are they all waiting in part until 2029, or what's
no? The ones that are partially, that means they can move forward right now.
So what's fully move forward versus partially? What's the difference?
Mostly the ones we're able to move forward 100% is they are replacing what's already there. right? So the flow that's being generated on that property, they're either tearing it down or renovating it, and the flow that they're replacing that with the development is the same.
Right. and
So
that-
they
that's
can all move forward.
Fully on that. one,
Fully,
Yeah.
yes. So as an example for a partial, if a single-family home is torn down, a large single-family home is torn down, but then the land is large enough to put 5 units in, that maybe, 2 of those units can be constructed, but not the other 3, because the other 3 would have to wait for the construction to be
capacity, yeah.
complete. But the 2 that can be constructed, the amount of flow that those 2 units are generating was similar to the existing home that's there now, as an example.
Right. So again, so 64 they can partially move forward, but there may be some, they're the ones who are, they and the ones who are on hold are the ones that are waiting until 2029.
Those 7 have to wait until. Now, when we say wait, that means they can still start their activities, their development activities. It's just when they need to kind of work, we need to work with them on timing. So when they complete their project, it would be right at the same time we're completing our construction. So they would, get a CO right when we are finishing construction. And as we, phase 1, those kind of the west third and the east third of the basin are wholly dependent on phase 1 for construction to be complete. But, construction in phase 2 will start down at the lower end and start to move up, and parts of that line will come online. So as segments of construction during phase 2, as those segments come online, the associated properties that are draining to that section that we have to come online, they would be opened up for connection.
My last question, this is for the mayor and the manager as well. So I was just in Denver a couple weeks ago on a trip. We were looking at part in homeless services capacity. And so in Denver, using emergency declaration whatever from the mayor, they were able to build like 1,200 units in like 9 months. So do we have any emergency powers in our state charter that would allow the mayor to declare an emergency so we can move even faster? Because there's still a lot of approvals that we've got to go through. There's acquisition, all that kind of stuff. So is that a possibility?
I wish.
I'm actually going to let the city attorney answer that, and I believe it's a pretty definitive answer.
Thanks, Mr. Manager. Councilmember Rist, an emergency within the state of North Carolina under our Emergency Management Act is confined to storms, acts of God, unanticipated incidents like, not acts of gods, explosions like we had back in 2019, but it doesn't rise to the level of ongoing
like policy
issues,
priorities.
Priorities, yes. We cannot use the Emergency Management Act for that purpose. And, other than something like a storm, a flood, remember that it also requires either the governor or the General Assembly to declare an emergency in order for the local government to act as well, beyond kind of something very emergent in the community.
Gotcha, thanks.
That said, I will just reiterate, as Director Greeley has made so clear, we've at the executive level in the organization indicated, that anything that is even a remote possibility for acceleration is something that we want to be notified of. If there are things we can do to support it, we will absolutely support it. I appreciate this presentation highlighting. I wanted to make sure, I'm not sure all of the community fully understood that we used existing on-call contracts to start work on this immediately. So even as you see new contracts coming forward, that is not an indicator that work is just now starting. Work has been underway for months, and these are contracts that allow that work to continue. But the directive that Director Greeley and his staff have been so clearly leaning into is to find every possible way to accelerate this, because we understand projects are waiting, and we understand these are projects that council supports and are very consistent with our values.
For the record, I tried to declare a state of emergency a couple of times on a curfew, and I couldn't even do that. So unless, you guys want to take up the legislative agenda with the General Assembly, we are. Councilmember Baker, did you have a comment?
Thank you for coming back, Director Greeley, and providing us this update. I think when you came before us last time and we had these conversations, we talked a little bit about we got caught off guard. The communications could have been better, but I also want to say that part of what we talked about was the alternative being, could we have caught this earlier? But another alternative is that we wouldn't have caught this at all. And so I do want to say thank you for the work that you and your team did to catch this and take decisive action so that we didn't have the worst case scenario, which is everyone kept building and there wasn't any more capacity, or catching this even later. So I think that's an important thing to raise. I know we raised kind of the possibility or idea of sharing costs potentially with the private sector. Was there any movement on that, or is this going to be borne? Are the costs going to be built into just the cost of consuming water?
Yeah, currently we have embedded that with the capital program within the utility. So that's where it stands right now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Real quick, I'm just trying to find the slide. Apologies. With easements and what departments are in charge of what? When we're doing like easement, is it the water department, is it general services? Like which department's handling which piece?
We're working closely with general services. We have easement acquisition services embedded in these contracts as well to help with the overall workload that general services has with all the projects across the whole city. So that was another way of helping to leverage and expedite the process. They still would be reviewing all of those, the process, how the methodology on how whatever funding that would for us to purchase that. So we would still work closely with them, but we do have that embedded with our consultants.
And on your side, you have embedded also project managers within the water department?
Yes.
Okay. So, because I know in other departments, a lot of times it's actually living in general services, and so it starts to get, in my opinion, a little wonky, and in some cases, I think delaying our completion on things.
Yeah.
I would say that historically that hasn't really affected I think Miss Lake was one of the fastest things I've seen built. So I think you're partly because you're also not, you're in your own universe as far as funding goes.
Right.
But if that starts to become an issue, we need to know. So different department, but we wanted to know from community development, once we passed the affordable housing bond, was there going to be needed extra capacity in that department to deliver the thing? Because there was no point in doing a bond if we weren't going to be able to deliver projects in a quick timeline, and then we lose opportunity. And so I think I'm saying the same thing in this case. If it becomes clear that the department needs extra capacity to finish quickly, then that's something council needs to know. And I know we're at the end of this budget cycle, but this is a multi-year project because it's the same thing. We think we're saving money, but it's not, because inflation is inflation, and it ends up ultimately being a lot more expensive because we took too long to finish a project, and now the thing is way more expensive than we thought. And if we'd just thrown some money at the beginning of the thing, maybe we would have, shaved some time, and that meant money. So I just want to say that publicly here, that we, as a council, and I think, it's several years down, so it's going to be a different council, but please provide us updates so that we know this is a big project. It affects all kinds of things. And then also when we're thinking about those crossings, those 85 and 80, if there's issues with NCDOT or anything that we can help with, let us know as well. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. That's why we, Lisa Mitchell, who's one of our senior engineering managers, will be the lead project manager on this. But, we identified, because of this project, the Ellery Creek project, Lick Creek, that's why we brought HDR in to help us manage that. So HDR will be working closely with Lisa and her team to help make sure that we get these projects delivered when we said we were going to deliver them.
Maybe even ahead of schedule. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up is item number 20. Presentation. We can take one now, actually. You guys want to take a 5-minute break? All right, take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 2:59. 3 p.m.
Oh, oops. Sorry.
We have those there. Amy, to remind us of the basics. The reason they're there, because everybody's like. So there you go. But yeah, if you ever need for our PDF PowerPoint today. And so, yeah, what it'll do is when we downstairs in the control room, project that. Y'all just click through like this. Like there's your clicker there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just want to say, like, I don't know what's going on with the algorithm, but come on, get started.
Oh, I did. It's good to see you.
Y'all post these jobs, man. My God, my inbox blows up. Like, I could just call and coerce you to hire. Like, I asked for a favor, but I just need a quick favor. Can you just tell them to hire me? I received like 20 inbox messages.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah, because you got an algorithm, right? So like we got congratulations on the promotion. And she got a promotion, right? So that's why the position opened up.
All right, let's get started again. All right, welcome.
Thank you. I also want
Ready
to turn
to
around
receive
and
your presentation.
thank you. We have a little bit of an audience here. Good afternoon, Mayor, and all the folks online. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, city leadership colleagues, and our residents, many of who are virtual. I am Starla Tanner, Director of the Community Partnerships and Engagement Department, also referred to as CPE. This afternoon, I will provide a requested post-storm recovery update for the Old Farm and River Forest neighborhoods following Tropical Storm Chantel. Today's update provides an overview of the impact of the storm, the city's response, and current recovery status. I will also highlight resident experiences, recovery challenges and barriers, as well as the continued support that's being offered. It is important to note that the Community Partnerships and Engagement Department was tasked with engagement and assessment, which has included documenting conditions, maintaining contact, and coordinating information related to recovery. Our role and resources have not included direct service delivery or funding. As most of us are already aware, in July of this past year, Tropical Storm Chantel brought historic rainfall, resulting in widespread flooding across Durham and parts of Orange County. The Eno River rose to over 25 feet, exceeding the previous records from Hurricane Fran, with the North Durham neighborhoods of Old Farm and River Forest being specifically impacted. Following the storm, the city initiated a coordinated outreach effort to inform residents about available resources, assess impact, and track recovery conditions over time. This included multiple rounds of door-to-door canvassing and bilingual outreach to connect directly with affected households. CPE staff conducted resident conversations and surveys, along with ongoing follow-up by phone and email to document conditions and needs as they evolved. This work supported coordination across city departments and external partners to route issues, share information, and connect residents to resources, including the joint City-County Disaster Recovery Center at the North Regional Library, which served as a resource specifically to connect residents with federal assistance. The next few slides highlight many of these coordinated actions. Our communications, community safety, Emergency Communications Center, along with Environmental and Street Services departments, each played a vital role in recovery efforts, such as coordinating messaging to deliver real-time updates to keep residents informed, partnering with public safety agencies to ensure displaced residents were connected to sheltering options and recovery support services, handling emergency calls and coordinating response efforts, including water rescues and road closures. Our fire department teams conducted over 100 water rescues and led life-saving operations across the region. The General Services and Parks and Recreation departments were also involved in recovery efforts by clearing debris, restoring access to public places, and managing damage to parks and working toward safe openings for those areas. Through our post-storm engagement, research, door-to-door canvassing, and surveys, 64 homes were identified as affected. Our community engagement staff developed a household-level tracking approach that grouped homes into 4 categories. The first being repaired and returned. So the home's livable and the residents, the household, they returned into their homes. The second category, repairs in progress, meaning that the homes we identified were actively undergoing repair, whether or not the resident had returned to the household. The third category, not returned, that we could not identify that the resident is currently living in the home. And then the fourth being unknown, indicating that the recent status had not been confirmed. So let's talk about Old Farm. Old Farm, there are 462 homes in that neighborhood, with 35 homes identified as being impacted by the storm. Of those 35, here's how they fell into categories. 5 households being returned into their homes in the community, 10 in progress and some point of repair, 8 having not been returned, and then 12 households falling in that unknown category of not being able to confirm the status. In River Forest, there are 169 homes, with 29 of those homes being impacted by the storm. Of those impacted homes, putting them into the categories, 14 households were identified as having returned to their homes, 4 in the progress, some state of repair, 1 having not returned, and then 10 households within River Forest being unknown. These figures are based on outreach and resident contact. They do not represent an exact census of all homes in either neighborhood. We also found that many residents completed repairs without receiving any formal assistance, and that there have been significant challenges to recovery that I'll cover in the upcoming slides. Recovery is still very active across both neighborhoods, this we know. I've personally seen both active repair efforts and boarded up houses while participating in our engagement efforts. Through our on-the-ground efforts, we know that in many cases, the experiences of our residents that are renters have also been different than those that are homeowning residents. Homeowners, we found, are often responsible for coordinating and financing repairs themselves, which can slow progress. While we talked to many renters who've been more likely to experience displacement if the properties were not repaired in a timely manner or at all. In addition to what we're hearing from residents, we've also identified several consistent issues related to the type and severity of damage, as well as ongoing risk. First, many homes experience structural damage, particularly to their foundations, crawl spaces. There's damage to core systems, specifically HVAC, along with interior damage to floors, walls, and appliances. We're also seeing ongoing health and environmental concerns. Residents have raised issues related to mold, indoor air quality, and risk of future flooding. In addition to the damage itself from the storm, our engagement and residents noted a consistent set of financial and process-related barriers that are slowing recovery. On the financial side, residents continue to report their repair costs are exceeding the available resources available to them. Even when households receive insurance or assistance, those funds have not always covered the full scope of their repairs, especially if upfront payments are required for those homeowners or those renters or landlords. At the same time, construction and labor costs have increased since the storm, and contractor availability has become limited. Process barriers are also a major source of delay and frustration. Residents often reported uncertainty about where they were in the process or what the next steps they should take. Depending on the content or the extent of the damage, floodplain and elevation requirements add complexity and cost when triggered. These determinations are case-specific, but can require additional engineering, design, and construction work, extending the timelines for recovery and repair. We received several referrals from council related to these requirements, and we appreciate the ongoing consultations with our colleagues and other related departments looking at these issues on a case-by-case basis. Residents are also navigating programs across city, county, state, and federal levels, which differ with eligibility requirements and documentation requirements. These barriers are not only about access to resources, but also the difficulty of navigating and applying for resources, which contributes to prolonged recovery time frames, as you can imagine. So in summary, recovery from Tropical Storm Chantel is in progress. However, it remains incomplete for many of the households, or some of the households, in Old Farm and River Forest, with delays tied to awareness, funding, and processes. The city's response and recovery assistance was launched after the storm, and it continues to utilize staff and services from multiple departments. So I'll end on a high note of what we're doing in the community, and certainly open to questions. And this is, again, very, very brief overview of some of the work we're doing since the storm occurred in July. The Community Partnerships and Engagement Department, or CP, has maintained a regular presence in both Old Farm and River Forest, including the recent spring gathering, where colleagues from water management and county emergency services joined us to share critical information with residents to assist them with many of the challenges noted in this update and to strengthen long-term community resilience. As I conclude, I'm pleased to recognize that many of the departments, as I said before, continue to work in these neighborhoods. I'm thankful for a couple of my colleagues that stayed as their departments have also been engaged in this work. I'd also like to recognize community partnership and engagement, the staff here today that have played a role in this work. Carmen Ortiz, our Assistant Director for Community Engagement. James Davis, our Assistant Director for Inclusion and Compliance. Laura Biediger, who I think is watching us online, our Senior Community Engagement Manager, and especially our community engagement strategists who have been on the ground. I think Maria Padilla, she's an honorary member of that community. She's been out there so much. When I've gone out there with her, they know her. She's talking to them. She gave them a call as the storm season started, and she's been hands-on. Also, Luis Bean has also been one of our strategists, one of our, that's been on the ground since his promotion to being a full-time strategist. Want to congratulate him on that as well. And so it's been really a team approach within this new department, and we're pleased to give you this brief update. So I'll end by sharing that this engagement work in these two communities is one of many events and activities being coordinated by this new department, Community Partnerships and Engagement. In our first year of existence, we have led or will lead numerous community and partnership efforts, such as, and I'll highlight just a few as I end, the recent Hoover Road Community Cookout, Southern High School's new participatory budget pilot, providing almost $75,000 in community mini-grants this fiscal year. We're working around the clock to get those funds out into the community, especially for summer youth programs, new language access and ADA programs, expanded digital access and youth services initiatives, and internal application of policy and budget equity tools. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, this concludes my presentation of a brief overview of the work that we're doing in just these two communities with the highlights of additional work by our department. Thank you.
Wow, well, you guys have gotten a lot done in a very short amount of time. Thank you for your presentation. I will make a few remarks after my colleagues. Councilmember Cook.
Thank you, Director Tanner, and to your team. Thank you so much. I was one of the council members that asked for this presentation to be brought forward. Hard to believe that it has been, gosh, almost 10 months since this storm, or over 10 months, I think, yeah, since this storm. Still feels so impactful. And if you are a person that does any consumer protection related work in the community, you've come across these households. So I hear you when you talk about the folks that have done everything right. They have insurance, they own their homes, and they are still being displaced because of this storm and the flooding because they can't afford the upfront costs. Their insurance won't cover everything, whatever the case may be. They're all engaged in these fights to ensure that they can continue living in the homes that they have lived in for a long time, potentially for generations, and that they've spent a lot of good value of time and money to invest in. So it's very serious, and I just want to thank y'all for all of the work that you've been doing out in that community. I do have a couple of questions. A few of the things that we talked about that are barriers are city-specific, and so I was wondering if you could speak more directly to how we've been alleviating some of that, or if we have been, and if we have sort of any quicker pathways through some of these things like permitting and inspections when there is a disaster that's occurred, or if we need to be thinking about sort of the next potential disaster and things that we could potentially help to alleviate some of that policy burden.
Sure, thank you, Councilmember. The approach that our department is taking and working with the other departments, I'll respond in that way first, about how we move forward with the possibility, unfortunately, of future emergency events. We are strengthening our engagement approach with departments such as transportation, planning and development, so that we have a regular cadence, a relationship of working with them proactively and when things happen, and then strengthening on the other side in the communities so that we already have the contacts there. And that speeds up our ability to be responsive, both proactive like the spring event and providing them with information, but it also enables us to be ready faster, to stay ready, so to speak, to work with these communities because we have the relationships as the designated engagement tool within the city to work internally and then externally. So that's the approach we're taking there. I will say I emphasize the case-by-case approach. We know that there's a threshold once those houses reach more than 50% of damage of their costs, that triggers other requirements, such as the floors and the type of work that can be done with those homes. And so rather than just taking a broad sweep and just telling them that, we really have worked with planning and other departments, appropriate departments, to look at these situations on a case-by-case scenario, taking that time with our community, this particular community, to look at those. So that's the other approach that we've taken with some of the city processes, so that we can help walk them through a bit now that we're in place and can do that with our other departments.
Is there a process for y'all making recommendations to those departments based on what you've found, what you've seen?
That is the plan, to put in place with that regular cadence, things that we see that can assist with engagement efforts. That is the plan with how we're developing the personnel and our strategy.
Okay. I think those are my questions. Thank you again.
Thanks, Thanks, Director Tanner. Very timely report, and appreciate all the sort of updates on what we've been doing. And thanks for Councilman Cook and others for making sure we had this presentation. It's interesting, such a timely topic. I was out of town last week, as was Councilmember Kopak. I was at a conference of urbanists, the Congress for New Urbanism. You were at a conference for it's adaptation, right? Yeah, climate resilience. So it seems, and so we were talking about a new climate action handbook that that CNU's come out with for urbanists, about all the things we can do in terms of practice and theory around making our communities more resilient, adaptable, and mitigating stuff. And so I guess my question is, and this may be as much for you as it is for the manager, you mentioned that that the city response was launched in response to the storm, right? And so we've talked a lot about climate resilience here in the city, what our plans are, what we need to improve. So I guess my question is, in addition to that response, which is part of what we need to do, right? And when the storm happens, what else would we ideally have in place, not only in response, but sort of ready to go when something like this happens? So can you talk about that and what else we should do or can do to make sure we're even better prepared? Because these storms, as we know, will continue to happen. So what do we need to have in place, not only, again, in response, but also there ready to go?
Thank you, Councilmember Riss. So it's a complicated question with with a number of facets to the answer. I mean, I think first and foremost, I believe that this remains and will always need to be a key focus of our joint city-county emergency management department, whose broad and very challenging mandate is to make sure that our community is as prepared as we possibly can be for disasters and recovers as quickly as possible from disasters. And so when we talk about identifying specific threats and being prepared for those threats, I do think they bear a large, a heavy burden, a lot on their shoulders for helping us. And know that through DCM Chadwell and his coordination there, but really with their constant interaction with all of us. I'm actually getting emails from them right now on our quarterly updates and planning sessions. That is a place. That said, I think obviously kind of to what you and maybe Councilmember Kopak were listening to last week, obviously this creeps more and more into day-to-day business. And so obviously as we talk about stormwater, as we talk about planning and land use, as we talk about heat islands and parks and recreation and how our recreation facilities can be used as cooling centers, it really becomes sort of a pervasive set of preparation and values that we continue to observe and adapt. I think city staff have been leaders in this space, always bringing ideas forward to us, but we certainly know that there are a number of really active community groups in Durham. Obviously the Environmental Affairs Board, I know does a lot of work on this. We are in conversations with our regional partners. Central Pines is doing work on resiliency, and so it is a all of the above assignment, and one that I think I continue to look to the council for your leadership as well as to the staff for their ongoing leadership in that area.
I appreciate it. Obviously, it's a big priority, and it's a growing one for our city. So appreciate those thoughts and look forward to working with you and the staff on that going forward.
I do, if I can, while I have the mic, just want to send my thanks to Director Tanner and her staff. This was an assignment that this department received without a roadmap. As you know, we have challenged this department in ways this year to really lean into the city's biggest priorities and to help us understand how we can bridge the resources of the city with real world problems and challenges that our communities are facing. And this is really, to me, one of the clearest examples of how we could do that. as this presentation showed, this department doesn't control a lot of the resources that they're trying to help make accessible to residents, but just did a fabulous job of really becoming the ombudsman for the city. And I just want to commend Starla's work. This really began even before we hired Starla. So DCM Wimbush really worked with the department to make sure that we had a real presence on the ground in the neighborhood. And that was without really a playbook to go by. So I'm really pleased with the amount of credibility that this group has earned out in the neighborhood. Obviously, there's more for us to learn and do, and I welcome kind of all feedback about how the city has been doing. But I just want to commend this team for how seriously they took this mission and how much work they've done to really try and bring resources to and clarity to the process to this neighborhood. So thank you, Director Tanner.
And just to add my thanks to the work of you and your team, and in conversation with community residents, the feedback that I've heard is that having Ms. Padilla and team accessible really did make it easier in a tough situation to navigate what can be difficult sometimes, all the diverse departments and services that the city wants to provide. And so I appreciate the work of you and your team in this response and look forward to continued efforts.
Councilmember Baker, do you have a comment?
I really just want to say thank you to you and all the folks that your team. I think all of this is part of a city that is an empathetic city, and trying to make sure that we are a city that is empathetic and caring for people in their most difficult moments, as well as people who are the most vulnerable. And, in times of changing climate, that is, it's going to be something that we might see more of these moving forward. And so having a protocol in place, there's no roadmap. And so forming a roadmap while also building in resiliency into the day-to-day, I think is all going to be very important. So thank you again for your work and your team's work.
Anyone else? All right, thank you so much, Director Tanner. Yeah, I've seen the impact of y'all's work just in general, but specifically to this, I remember the night that this happened. The next morning, I went out there and I just saw our city staff just hard at work, and it's also things I'd never seen. I didn't know we had this water rescue division, and they were putting these boats together. And just going out into the neighborhood. It was American Red Cross and our fire department. And they were working so efficiently. And I also saw community members helping one another. But I also had never seen Durham that way. And I know that it was traumatic to the residents who had experienced it back in the late 90s. And, as a kid from Halifax County, where we had a flood where we lost everything as well. It can be really traumatic, and I know that the families are going to live with this for a long time. But the way we counter that, not only through policy, but also with just a city government that's compassionate and that's caring, and that's the work that you all are doing. And I appreciate that personally and professionally. And I do believe that it's going to be on us to address all of the public policy efforts that are needed here. One thing I'm going to really focus on is the vertical coordination with our state and federal leaders. That was a nightmare. And with the federal administration FEMA is, it's been dismantled or whatever, and folks were trying to see how they can get support, but they were having to go to the Small Business Administration. And it was really confusing because folks were saying, I don't have a small business, but I'm being told to go to the Small Business Administration to get support. For federal relief. We didn't have the funding here locally, but back in the day, FEMA directed that money to the local governments to respond because we knew what was happening on the ground. But administrations change, practices change. But I appreciate the engagement you all are doing because it's providing clarity on recovery. And I just got back in town. I was out of town this weekend, and I passed through Canton, North Carolina. And I drove, their community did a documentary for the town, and there were thousands of people out there watching it together. And I went to just spend a little time with the mayor, Zeb, and people were in tears, but it was just seeing their paper factory, which was the main employer, just totally dissipated, gone. And they're getting rid of it, and they have to find out what's going on, what's going to go on next. And then thinking about Chapel Hill and how they just lost everything over there in our northern point of the county and city. These storms are coming much more aggressive and much more frequently. So to my colleagues, we have work to do in conjunction with our county colleagues, and hopefully we can get the state involved and the federal government involved as well. We're going to have to look at things a little differently. And I know it's going to be costly, but you know, lives are at stake, and this is something we'll have to take on. So we have work ahead of us to do, but thank you all for the work that you all are doing here now, and just being compassionate with our residents.
Thank you so much. I also want to thank our deputy city manager too, Deputy City Manager Wimbush, who leads us and supports us, as well as the city manager, and charges us with this great engagement work that we are all so very passionate about. So thank you again.
And colleagues, there's a summit at Duke this week. The mayor of Chapel Hill, Jess Anderson, and myself will be speaking. I will have to leave work session a little early on Thursday to speak at this conference with Sala. We'll be talking about this very thing, public policy and environmental sustainability and resilience. And I'll be talking about the work that we're doing here in Durham and the work that is to come. So keep an eye on that. It's a 2.5-day summit hosted at Duke with Sala, which is an organization that brings together leaders and nonprofits across the country to talk about this type of work. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to staff. I know that y'all have been diligently out there, and I just wanted to also acknowledge that when Manager Ferguson moved everybody into one department, I know there was a little bit of heartache for certain staff because y'all had been in other departments and used to being in that department, but I thought that this was one of the best decisions to bring everything that the city does in-house, to have consistent city workers instead of hired out consultants, building those relationships, building that trust, and so that way folks know that they can rely on us, and it's not, you know, a rotating door of actors. Not that those folks don't do good work, but I just think it's better policy and a better relationship building mechanism. And I know that our PB staff are excellent, and they work really, really hard. And I know that I have seen Maria Padilla in action, and I know that she has a lot of trust out in the community. So just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, this is one of the most efficient moves ever. Thank you. I don't, it was so fragmented. The work was somewhat being done, but it was so fragmented. This is having everything together. It's so much more digestible. Thank you. All right, colleagues. All right, so we are at the end of the agenda at 3:30, but you are not gone for the rest of the day, so we'll be back in a couple of hours. Another matter, Councilmember Cook.
Okay, I know everyone wants to leave. I am just going to bring this up one more time because it's now just a few months out, and I know that we have our July recess, and so I want to bring it up before we come back and things are more scattered. The meeting on September 21st overlaps with Yom Kippur. I have let both the manager and the mayor know about this. I would request that we move that meeting in advance. This would be like holding, it would be essentially like holding it on Christmas for folks that celebrate that holiday. This is our most important holiday of the year, so it is my request that we move that meeting on September 21st. So I'm going to make that official ask of my colleagues.
Thank you.
It's a meeting on Monday night.
Monday night council meeting.
Monday night, September 21st.
Okay.
So Yom Kippur technically ends at sundown. We don't eat until the third star comes out, so I will absolutely not be present, and nobody Jewish would be able to be present.
Thank you. I don't think it would be efficient for us to handle that right now, but we can have staff work with our administrators to work on a date. But we'll just do like we did today. We'll just make an alternate time. But yeah, colleagues, I think everybody should be on board with that. All right, good. All right, Mary Grace, we're good? All right, colleagues, we're adjourned at 3.
No, you're not.
No, we're not. You have to settle the agenda. Mayor Pro Tem asked in the beginning, do I need a motion right now? No, at the end. All right.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. To settle the agenda this evening, I have items 1 and 3 through 19 on consent, item 2 on GBA, and items 21 through 23 on GBA public hearing. That is the agenda, and I do want to mention that staff did capture everything in work session today. We'll be publishing an updated version of tonight's agenda, and we'll have a priority memo this evening that highlights any changes for you this evening. Those are by settled agenda, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to settle the agenda. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, colleagues. We are adjourned at 3:32.
Thank you. Good job. See you tonight.
See you guys shortly.